Hello and welcome to Fox Gaming and episode 10 of the Darkness of Moria solo campaign for battle companies. In this scenario, the companies will face off against the Balrog of Morgoth. The evil battle companies will team up, and so will the good battle companies, and they have to defeat the Balrog to get points and to win. I'm really excited to see if this battle is balanced. The Balrog comes in at 350 points, and the battle companies, the evil battle companies, are about 600 or 550, and that is also true for the good ones. And there's only 2 battle companies at a time who will battle, starting with the evil battle companies. Let's get into the battle report. Alright, so as I said, the evil battle companies will start in the first battle. The Balrog will start over on this side. We're using the small 24 by 24 inch board in this case. And we have Cirith Ungol down here and Karna on top of this platform, or the Dwarven Steps as we call them. A little disclaimer, I have not used the Balrog in a game before. This is the first time I used it, and I just painted it up. If you would like to see a painting tutorial of the Balrog, please let me know. I have filmed everything, so if you want to see that, I can make one for you. If I do anything wrong in regards to the rules or tactically, please let me know in the comments below, and let me know what you think about this scenario. Do you think the Balrog is too strong? It's not possible for the evil battle companies or the good ones to actually slay him because he is really powerful? We will just have to wait and see, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. As for the rules for the Balrog, it will always charge the closest enemy model. If it can use its whip, it will, and it will use heroic combat every turn if able. Alright, so let the battle begin. Alright, so rules to keep in mind when fighting the Balrog. The Ancient Evil special rule is in effect, and that means that within 18 inches of him, everyone gets a -1 penalty to their courage. They are also fearless, which means they do not take any courage tests they are required to make. They are resistant to magic, but that will not have any effect in these battles, and they cause terror, which means that everyone has to take a courage test to charge them. They also have the Flame of Adun special rule, which means that on a roll of a 6, the model is set ablaze, even if they made their fate roll and survived. But if they died, they died, so that is no problem. But they have to roll on a roll of a 6, they are set ablaze and take a strength 9 hit, and then a strength 5 hit at the end of every turn until they can extinguish the flames. Alright, so let's get into it, shall we? The blue die is the Balrog and the red die is the evil side. Let's see who gets priority, and it is a tie. So we have to roll that again. And it is the Balrog. Alright, so the Balrog just moved forward as fast as he could, and the evil battle companies fanned out to try to trap the Balrog in later turns, keeping their distance to be able to avoid the lash of the Balrog. Now, let's get into shooting phase for the evil side. Starting with this orc with a bow, it will fire into the Balrog and needs 5s to hit and gets a 4. That's not good enough. Next we have Jacobim, and he will fire into the Balrog as well. No other targets, so let's go. He needs a 4 up to hit and he misses. Next we have another warrior, and he needs a 4 up to hit and he hits. Now, because of the strength of 2 on the arrows and the defense value of 9 of the Balrog, he will need 6s by 6s to score a wound, and he gets a 5. Next we have a warrior of Karna who is upgraded, so he will need a 3 up to hit and he misses. Lastly we have Jackson L, and he gets a 2, and that is not good enough. Alright, so let's get into priority for the next turn, and it goes to the Balrog once again. Alright, so the Balrog just moved forward towards the closest enemy, and now I have to take a lot of courage checks to try to get some of the battle companies into combat. So I will just do that off camera, and then you will see how it turned out. Just 1 second. Alright, so this is what the combat looks like. A lot of the models from the evil battle companies failed their courage test, and it's devastating, the -1 penalty for courage that these models get. But some of their generals have a bonus, so that will counter that in some occasions. But let's get into the fight phase, as the archers went closer to support in close combat instead of firing their bows. Okay, so the Balrog will call a heroic combat, so let's see how that turns out. Alright, so remember, the Balrog has 4 attacks, and if a single 6 is scored, he will win the fight no matter what, because his fight value is 10. So no one can beat that. Let's see if he gets a 6, and he does not. He gets only a 5, so here is a chance for the battle companies to do some damage. Alright, starting with Murphys in the back of the Balrog, needing 6s, and gets 2 5s, and he has a point of might, but we will just see how the other ones fare first. Next we have Shlurim and a friend over here. They also need a 6. Can they get it? No. And then we have this orc with shield needing a 6. No. And then we have an Uruk-hai with 200 weapon, and he cannot win because the maximum number he can get is a 5. But we have Jonner and a friend next. Jonner goes first, and he gets a 3, and his friend gets a 5. And the last warrior in combat is an Uruk-hai with 200 weapon, and as we discussed earlier, he cannot win. I don't think they are equipped with other equipment than the 200 weapon, so they cannot strike. But let me check that real fast. Okay, so I see now that the Uruk-hais have swords as well as the 200 weapons, so they will try to strike. I will never use the 200 weapon against the Balrog because the likelihood that they win the combat using that is so low. So they will just use the swords, needing 6s to see if they win, and they don't get it. And that means the only opportunity they have is to turn Murphys' 5 up to a 6, winning the fight. Alright, I don't know about you, but I'm really excited to see what the evil battle companies can do here. They have a good chance now to do some damage, but remember, defense 9 is tough. Starting with Murphys, he has 4 attacks because of Balrog is trapped, needing 6s to win because of his strength of 5. And he gets 1 wound on the Balrog, great start. Next we have the Haradrim warriors on the right hand side over here, 4 attacks, needing 6s by 5s to wound. 6s by 5s, people. Let's see. And they get 1 6. Now they need a 5 to score a wound. And they get a 6. Another wound is scored on the Balrog. It's turned down to 8. Next we have 2 attacks from the orc in front, needing 6s by 5s. And he gets nothing. And now we have the 2 Uruk-hai with 200 weapon who strikes with their regular swords. Strength of 4, so they need 6s by 5, I believe. Or no, 6s by 4s. 6s by 4s is needed, and they get 1 6. Can they get a 4? Nope. And now we have the orc with the spear, needing 6s by 5. 2 attacks, of course, because of traps, and gets 1 6. Can he get a 5? Oh, he gets 1. Okay, so another wound on the Balrog. Lastly, we have Jonner, and he needs 6s by 4s, and he gets nothing. Alright, so that was a great start for the evil battle companies, taking 3 wounds of the Balrog, which now has 7 wounds remaining. Let's get into the next priority, and it goes to the white die is the Balrog. Let's see, the Balrog gets priority this time. Charging into this orc over here and using his lash on the way in. He will need a 3 up to hit, and he misses. Alright, so I tried to look up the brutal power attacks that a monster can get in close combat, just to make sure, and I think that the best option for the Balrog is to use its regular attacks because of his high strength. I think he will try to kill as many models as possible, and I believe the best way to do that is to use his regular attacks. But let me know in the comments if that is a wrong interpretation of the rules, but that is how I'm going to play. So the Balrog charged into this orc. Now the evil battle companies have to take some courage tests to try to get into combat. And remember, the Balrog gives the debuff of -1 courage, but both Stuart Lim and Krishna has the +1 courage 6 inches from them rule. So they even they even each other out, making the courage test regular ones. So I will just be back in a second, just need to take 500 courage tests and then we can get into the fight phase. Alright, so it may be a little bit hard to see, but a lot of the battle companies got into combat and the Balrog is trapped because of it. Alright, so let's see if the Balrog wins this fight, starting with his heroic combat. Let's see if the Balrog gets the 6 here, and he gets the 6, which means he wins the fight and can make strikes. Alright, as I read the rules, it says that he has a giant flaming sword, but it doesn't say that it is a two-handed weapon. So I guess he will just wound on 3s, but 4 attacks to see how many wounds he gets, and he gets 3 wounds, which means that 3 warriors are slain. Alright, so 3 kills for the Balrog thus far, and he has taken 3 wounds himself. Let's see who gets priority for the next turn. It goes to the evil forces. Remember that for the heroic combat to go off, the Balrog has to slay every model in base contact to be able to charge again, and he didn't. So the priority went to the evil battle companies, and I'll be back after 10,000 courage tests. Alright, so this is how it looks like. Lots of the evil battle companies got into combat with the Balrog, but it doesn't matter if the Balrog gets a 6 here. Let's see if he does it. And he gets the 6, winning the fight once again. 3 up will kill a warrior, and he gets 2 wounds. Priority for the next turn goes to the Balrog. Charging into Jacobeam over here, needing a 3 up to hit with his whip, and he hits. Needing 3 up to wound and gets the wound. Jacobeam have to save with his fate, and he fails and is killed, unfortunately. The Balrog then continues into Slurm over there. Now the evil battle companies have to take courage test again, and I'll be back in a second. Alright, so we'll just go for repeating the previous rounds. The Balrog is once again surrounded, and his 4 attacks in his heroic fight is a 5 high, which means that the evil battle companies has a chance this turn. Starting with these 2 warriors of Karna, and they get a 6, which means that they win the fight and can make strikes. A lot of strikes can be made this turn because of the sheer numbers surrounding the Balrog. Starting with these 2 Haradrim warriors, they need 6s by 5s to wound, and they get 2 6s. Incredible start. Can they get some 5s? No. Next we have Stuart Lim with his 3 attacks, which is now a 6 attack strike because of the trapped Balrog. Now he needs 6s by 5s, and he gets nothing. Slurm and Lirim is next, and they need 6s by 5s as well, getting 1 6. Can they get a 5? No. Next we have Jeremiah, and he has been upgraded to getting 3 attacks, and he has also 6 attacks this turn, needing 6s, getting 1 6. Can he get a 5? No, but he can use 1 point of might, turning that into a 5, causing a wound to the Balrog. And the spear support in the back, needing 6s, getting nothing. Next we have Murphus, and he also has 3 attacks because he charged. He needs 6s, straight 6s, and he gets nothing. Next we have an Uruk-hai that you can almost see over there, needing 6s by 4s, getting 1 6. Can I get a 4? And no. And the Orc spear support behind, needing 6s, getting 1 6, needing a 5, and he gets 1 5, scoring 1 wound to the Balrog. Next we have Jonner, and he gets a 6, and now he needs a 4. Can he do it? Yes, he does! Another wound on the Balrog. The spear support in behind Jonner, and he gets a 6 as well. Can he get a 5? No. And the last Uruk-hai over here, he needs 6s as well, and then he needs 4s, and he gets 1 wound, so he takes the Balrog down to 3 wounds remaining. Alright, going into priority once again, who will get it? And it goes to the evil battle companies. Alright, only a couple of models did not get into base contact once again, and the Balrog needs a 6 to win automatically, and he gets the 6. How many does he slay? That is the question. And who will he take out? I think he will try to go after regular warriors, and that's not possible because there are a lot of heroes. All right, so let's just see how many he strikes against. He needs a 3-up and he gets 3 wounds. Starting with Murad over here, he has a fate point and he is slain. Next, he will go after Jonner over there, needing he will try to take a fate check, but he fails as well. And he does not have enough might to save himself. And the last wound will go on Jeremiah, who will take a fate roll, and he saves. Now, Jeremiah will need to take a set ablaze test. On a 6, he is set ablaze, and he is set ablaze. Oh no! Taking a strength 9 hit, which means on a 3-up he gets a wound and he passes. And at the end of the turn, he will take a strength 5 wound as well, or a hit as well, and he has a defense of 3, I think, no, 4. So force, he will take a wound and he will not. Alright, priority for the next turn goes to the evil battle companies. To extinguish the flames, Jeremiah is going to ground and crawling 1 inch away. That will stop the flames from burning, but he cannot do anything else this turn. Let's go to courage checks. Alright, I hope you don't think this is tedious. I'm loving every second of it, even though it's kind of repetitive. But we are in the fight phase once again, and the Balrog will strike. If he gets a 6, he will win. And he does not, he gets a 5. And now we'll start with these warriors of Karna over here, needing a 6 to win, and they get it! So they win it for the team. Another round of wounds coming in on the Balrog. Continuing with the 2 warriors who won the fight, they will need 6s by 5s and they get nothing. Sturtlim is next with his 6 attacks, needing 6s, getting nothing. Lirim, who is supporting from behind, needing 6s by 5s, get nothing. 2 other warriors of Karna, they need 6s by 5s, getting 1 6. Can they get a 5? No. Next we have Murphys needing straight up 6s because of his high strength, and he gets nothing. Next we have an Uruk-hai over here needing 6s by 4s, getting 1 6. Can I get a 4? No. The spare support behind him 6s by 3 or 6s by 5s, but nothing. Joshok is next needing 6s by 4s, getting 1 6. Can I get a 4? And no, but I believe he has might to. Just let me check 1 second. Joshok does have might, so he will use that, turning his 3 into a 4, taking another wound of the Balrog, who is now only down to 2 wounds. The spear support behind Joshok needs a 6 by 5s, but gets nothing. Only 1 wound taken this combat. Alright, so priority for the next turn goes to the evil battle companies once again, coming back after 5,000 courage tests. Alright, into the fight phase once again. The Balrog needs a 6 here to do something, and he gets the 6, winning the fight. Now, he will strike, prioritizing regular warriors, and that is the giant spider in front and the bowman over there. So, needing 3 up to get a wound, getting 3 wounds, and that kills the spider and the Haradrim warrior in front. Alright, so priority again goes to the Balrog this turn. Now he will go after Sturtlim. I rolled a random for this and he went into combat with him, throwing his whip on his way in, needing a 3 up to hit, and he hits. Now he will need 3s once again, and he gets a wound on Sturtlim, who can try to save, and he saves. But he is maybe set ablaze, let's see, and he's not. Going into the next fight phase, the Balrog will start. If he gets a 6, he will win, and he gets 3 6s, and that is devastating. He will try to kill the giant spiders in this case, as they have the highest strength. Going after them, needing a 3 up to wound, getting 2 wounds, and that slays this spider. Priority for the next turn goes to the evil side. Alright, so this time only 5 models got into combat with the Balrog, and the Balrog will starting to strike, getting... Whoa, that is terrible! 3 1s and a 2. I'm guessing Jackson L can beat that single-handedly, and he can, which means that the evil battle companies has won the fight and can make strikes. Luckily, the Balrog is trapped, so they can double their attack, starting with Jeremiah, needing 6s by 5s, getting 1-6. Can he get a 5? And he does! That is 1 wound on the Balrog, which has 1 wound remaining. Jackson L is next, and he also needs 6s by 5s, but gets nothing. Then we have Shlurim and a spear support. They need 6s by 5s and gets nothing. Lastly, we have Krishla with spear support under there, and Krishla will start. He has only 1 attack, but it gets to 2 and nothing happens. His spear support, can they do something? Oh, getting a 6. If they get a 5, it's all over, and he does not. Priority for the next turn goes to the evil side once again. Alright, so amazing courage tests taken all around, and almost everyone got into combat. And the Balrog will set the bar this turn, getting a 6, and that means he wins automatically. Alright, so as both Stuart Lim and Krishla is in combat, the Balrog will try to take them both out. Starting with Krishla, 2 attacks goes on him, and he gets, 2 wounds, and 2 wounds on Stuart Lim, who only takes 1. And as Krishla only had 1 wound, and I believe, he has 1 fate, he can save, and he does not, but he can use a might point, turning that to a 4, and that means that he will die either way, but Stuart Lim survives. Alright, priority for the next turn goes to the Balrog this time. His crosshairs is fixed on Stuart Lim, as he realizes that if he takes out Stuart Lim as well, the courage buff that the enemy has is next to nothing. So he will go after him, needing a 3-up with his whip, and he gets a 3. Now a strength of a lot, I think. He still needs 3s to wound Stuart Lim, and he does it. Stuart Lim is out of fate, so he is slain. They will then continue their charge into Jeremiah, and now the evil battle companies will have to take some courage tests. Alright, so this is what the fight is looking like right now. Remember, if the Balrog fails or do not get a 6, it looks dark for him, as he has only 1 win remaining. Let's see what he gets. And he gets a 6 and wins once again. Going after Murphys as a priority, and then going after the Urukai in front over here, needing a 3-up to wound, and he gets 4 wounds. Murphys will take a fate roll, and he saves, but loses 2 wounds in addition to that, and the Urukai in front only has 1 wound, so they are both killed by the Balrog. Alright, as it stands right now, the Cirith Ungol warband has been halved, and will have to try to stay on the board by taking courage checks before they can try to charge the Balrog and take courage checks once again. And the Karna warband is still not broken, so they can function as normal, but they still get the debuff from the Balrog, as Stuart Lim is slain from before. And the Balrog has only 1 wound remaining, so anything can happen, and we'll just have to see how it turns out. Priority goes to the evil battle companies. Alright, only Joshok remaining of the heroes of Cirith Ungol, and he will have to take a courage test to try to have his forces stand their ground, needing an 8 on these dice, and he gets a 10, which means that everyone stays. Alright, 7 of the warriors are in combat, including Jeremiah and Shlurim and Joshok, of course. Now, let's see if the Balrog can get the 6. This one, I feel, is really important. And the Balrog gets a 6 once again and can make strikes. But this time, he will prioritize Karna. Okay, so needing 3-up to wound, and gets 4 wounds. And that means Jeremiah and 2 of his friends are slain in the engagement. Alright, there are not a lot of forces left on the board. The Balrog has had a couple of good rounds. Let's see priority for this next turn, and it goes to evil. Alright, so we need to start taking some courage tests, starting with Joshok, of course, and he gets a 10, and that means that everyone from Cirith Ungol are standing their ground. Next, we have Jackson L, and he gets a 7, and that means that he flees the battle. Or, wait, he can use a point of will, which he will. will. So he stands his ground, and so does this warrior, but the 3 other heroes need to test as well. Chiuhin is next and he gets an 8 and that is enough. Next we have Shlurim and he gets a 5, which means he flees the battlefield. And lastly we have Lirim and he gets a 7 and that is not enough, he flees as well. Can you believe the development in this battle? The evil battle companies has lost a lot of miniatures and the Balrog is only at 1 wound. Will they be able to kill him? We'll just have to see. Alright, so everyone except for Joshok got into combat with the Balrog this round. Remember, he has only 1 wound remaining and we'll just see how he fares. If he gets a 6, I believe it's all over. The Balrog gets a 5 high, which means that the evil battle companies has a chance. Starting with Jackson L, he will need a 6 here, and he gets a 6, winning the combat for the evil team. Now they can make strikes, and the Balrog is trapped, so their strikes are doubled. Let's start with Jackson L. He gets 2 attacks, needing 6s by 5s, and he gets nothing. Chiuhin in spear support is next, needing 6s by 5s, and gets nothing. And we have 1 spearman over here, needing 6s by 5s, nothing. Next we have an orc with spear support, so 4 attacks goes in, needing 6s, and gets 1 6. Now they need a 5, can they do it? Oh! And next we have an Uruk-hai, and he needs 6s by 4s, and he gets nothing. Lastly we have an orc in spear support, needing 6s by 5s, and he gets the 6, can they get the 5? Come on! He gets the 5! The Balrog is slain! Goodbye to the Dark One. You are slain by an orc with spear. Great job, everybody, and congratulations to the evil side. Alright, so we just watched the evil battle companies kill the Balrog, and next we have the good side. The Osgiliath warband deployed on top of this step. And we have last lines over here. The Balrog is over here, and we will just start by to see who gets priority for the first turn. The Balrog is the white die, and it goes to the good side. Alright, moving into the shooting phase, starting with Malarsian over here, firing his 2 shots into the Balrog, needing a 3 up to hit, and hits on both shots. Now he has a strength of 2, so he will need 6s by 6s, and he has already used up all of his 6s, it seems. But he can reroll the 1 because of his pinpoint shots, and he does not get it. Next we have Demontir, and he needs a 3 up, and he hits. Now he needs 6s by 6s, getting a 2. Next we have Virlin, and he hits with a 3, and now he will need 6s by 6s, nothing. And lastly we have a regular ranger, needing a 3 up to hit, and he misses completely. A man of Numenor with bow will fire next, needing a 4 up to hit, and he misses. Simonir is next, and he needs 3 up to hit. He hits. Now he will need 6s by 5s because of his strength 3 bow, and he gets the 6. Can he get a 5? And he gets a 1. Oh, terrible. Priority for the next turn goes to the good side. The good side decided to stand still with all of its forces. The Balrog came closer, and now it's on to the shooting phase once again. And this time, let's see if the Balrog can take a wound or not. Malarsian will start, and he gets 1 hit. Now he needs 6s by 5s, and he misses. Demontir is next, and he hits 6s by 6s, nothing. Virlin is next, and he misses, and the last ranger will hit. Now he needs 6s by 6s, and gets nothing. The man of Numenor will hit on a 4 up, and he hits. Now he needs 6s by 6s, and he misses, or he does not get a wound. Lastly we have Simonir, and he hits. Now he needs 6s, and he gets nothing. The Balrog is next, and he will lash out against this high elf in front. He needs a 3 up to hit, and he hits. Now he will need a... let's see... He has a strength of 7 against a defense of 6, so he will need 4 up to wound, and he gets the 6, and that slays the high elf. Priority for the next turn goes to the good side. Alright, so the good forces got a lot of warriors into combat, but a lot of them did not have the range to get in, so they just positioned themselves for the next turn. Now let's get into the fight phase. The Balrog will go first, and he gets... whoa! Gets only a 2, and that means If Doritor can do something here, he gets a 3. So the good side wins the fight. The Balrog is not trapped, however, so only single attacks from all of the participants. Let's start with Doritor. He needs a 6x5 and he gets nothing. The veteran in behind him gets a 5 and that's not good enough either. Next we have a warrior of Minas Tirith with shield and he gets a 3, and Idro, who is a hero in the back, gets a 6, so he can try again, needing a 5 up to wound, and he gets the 5, causing 1 wound to the Balrog, who now has 9 wounds remaining. If I can just find the freaking 3. Let's go! Next we have an elf with a hand-and-a-half weapon, and he will use it as a one-handed weapon. Because the same reason as last game, they will need to not get the -1 when they attack. So they will just strike normally, needing a 6x5 and nothing. The other elf, who is a hero, it's Louisan, gets a 3 and that's not good enough. And the man with the shield and spear in behind gets nothing. So the Balrog could back away, and we go to priority for the next turn, and that goes to the Balrog. Charging into this elf and using his whip on the way in, needing a 3 up to hit, and he hits. Now he will need, I believe, 3s, because the elf has a defense of 5, and that is a wound. As it is not a hero, he is slain. The Balrog will then continue his move into this Númenórean man. Alright, so this time the Balrog has become trapped, and we will get into the fight phase in just a minute. The Balrog will set the bar. If he gets a 6, he will win the fight either way, and he does. He can then make strikes. To make it fair, he will do 2 attacks against each battle company, starting with the warrior over here. Needs a 3 up to kill him, and he does. The next one goes on Doritor, and he gets a wound as well on him, and Doritor can try to save, and he does. Now we have 2 on Men of Númenor, and they wound as well. A lot of kills for the Balrog. Alright, so priority for the next turn goes to the good side. Alright, so we go into combat once again. The Balrog will set the bar. If you get the 6, he wins, and he does. As the Gondorian army has taken less casualties, the strikes will go on them. Let's see how they fare on a 3 up. And they get 1 wound only, and that means this ranger is killed. Alright, on to priority once again, and this time it goes to the Balrog. He is charging into Dimantir, lashing out against him, and he hits. Now he will need a 3 up to wound, and he gets a 1. Onto the fight phase. The Balrog will set the bar, and he gets a 5. That means that the good side can have a chance here. Starting with Michael, he gets a 2. Next we have a Malarsian, and he gets a 6, and that means that they win the fight and can make strikes, and the Balrog is trapped as well, so here comes the wounds. Michael is first, and he needs 6s by 5s, and he gets 1 6. Can he get a 5 as well? No! Malarsian is next, needing 6. Whoa! Getting 2 6s, and should he use a might point to get that as well? Yes, I think he will. He will use 1 might point, getting 3 wounds so far, but he needs 5s to wound as well. Let's see. And he gets 1 5, which means the Balrog takes 1 wound. Idro in spear support, needing 6s by 5s, and he gets nothing. Next we have Dimantir, and he gets nothing, and the spear support behind him gets a 6. Can they get a 5? No! Virlin is next, and he gets nothing. Now we have Doritor, and he gets 1 6. Can he get a 5? No! Next we have Tylero, and he gets a 6. Can he get the 5 as well? No, but oh, maybe he had strength of 4, so he would only need 4s. And he has 2 might. Should he use his might now to cause a wound on the Balrog? I think he will, using both his might, getting 1 wound on the Balrog. Next we have Karzunil, and he gets nothing. And the spear support behind him gets nothing as well. A regular Númenórean man needs 6s by force and nothing. And the spear support behind him as well gets nothing. Lastly we have Simonir, and he gets A 6, can he get a 5 as well? No, but he will use a might point, turning that into a 5, causing a wound on the Balrog. Alright, a great turn for the good forces, and we go to priority for the next one, and it goes to the Balrog. Charging into Malarsian, whipping his way forwards, needing a 3-up to hit, and he misses. Alright, once again the Balrog is surrounded. Remember, the good battle companies has better courage value than the other ones. But the main forces have 3 and they have no buff to them, so they still need 8 to get into combat. But they rolled high and got into combat all around. Now, the Balrog has to get a 6 here to win, and he gets the 6 and can make strikes. Prioritizing to try to slay the Gondorians as they have taken less casualties. Now he needs a 3-up to wound and he gets 2 wounds. So the reason I say 3-up to wound is because the only model that can get a 4-up to wound against him is Tylero with a defense of 7 and shield wall. But the Balrog will not prioritize to killing him because of that. So he will go on the regular ones and he gets 2 wounds. And these wounds will go against Malarsian as he has 2 attacks. He is the biggest threat. Malarsian has a point of fate and 2 wounds, and he fails, so he is slain. Alright, priority for the next turn goes to the good side. Alright, so some of the key models did not make their courage check, so in the back over here we have not combat, or people are not going into the Balrog in the back, and because they failed their courage check, but the Balrog is still trapped going into the fight phase. The Balrog will set the bar and they get a 5, and that means that there is some hope for the good battle companies. Starting with Michaelir, he gets a 4, and Idro, his spear support, gets a 1. Dimantir is next and he gets a 5, and we have Virlin and he gets a 5 as well. The spear support of Virlin gets a 5. Louison gets a 3. The spear support behind Louison gets a 2. Another high elf warrior gets a 1. And Simonir is the last one and he gets a 4. Now Louison can reroll a single die and he gets a 2. And that means that the Balrog wins this fight. As Osgiliath has lost 3 models and the Last Alliance has lost 4, he will prioritize Osgiliath and then go back and forth on his wounds. Now he needs 3-up to wound and he gets 1 wound only. And that will go on Dimantir, and he has a point of fate and he saves. Priority for the next turn goes to the good forces. Alright, so here we have it. The Balrog will strike first. If he gets a 6, he will win, and he does. Same prioritization as last time, going for Osgiliath first, and then alternating 3-up to wound, and gets 4 wounds! And that means that Dimantir is slain, and then we go to the Last Alliance, and we have a regular warrior over here, so he is gone. And then we go to Osgiliath once again, and this time it's Virlin who will take a fate roll, and he saves, and 1 more wound on him, so he dies either way. So 4 wounds taken. Alright, so the good forces have taken 10 casualties so far and have gotten the Balrog down to 6 wounds remaining. Priority for the next turn goes to the good side once again, so we'll have to take some courage tests. Alright, another fight, another chance to get the Balrog down a notch. Let's start with the Balrog. Remember, if we get the 6, it's his game, and he does not get it. This time the good side may prevail. Michaelir will start getting a 1, and we have Doritor next. He gets a 4, which means that they win the fight and can make strikes, doubling their attacks because the Balrog is trapped. Starting with Michaelir, needing 6s by 5s and gets nothing. Oh, you can't see, gets nothing. Idro is next and he gets nothing as well. Doritor gets nothing, and his spear support gets double 1s. The next veteran over there gets a 5, and Tylero gets a 4, and this elf over here gets nothing. Spear support behind him gets nothing as well. And this man of Numenor over here gets nothing, and the spear support in behind him gets nothing as well. Terrible round for the good force. And priority this turn goes to the good side. Almost everyone got into combat, but it still remains to be seen what the Balrog gets, and he gets a 3, and that is not good for him. Michael Lear is next, he gets a 4, winning the fight for the team. Once again making strikes, starting with Michael Lear, he gets nothing, and Idro behind him gets nothing as well. And we have this veteran over here, he gets nothing, and we have a veteran with the Tylero. Well, I'm stuttering like a horse. Alright, so he gets a 6 and can try to wound on a 5 and nothing. Tylero is next and he gets double 1s. Oh no, and we have Carson Neal. He gets 5s and he can turn that to a 6, but is it worth it? I don't think so. And we have a guy behind who gets nothing. Simonir is next and he gets nothing as well. Next we have a regular elf and he gets nothing, and Spear support behind him gets a 6. Now he will need a 4 because of his strength of 4, and he gets a 1. Terrible. Another Numenorean man gets nothing, and the Spear support behind him gets nothing as well. Now we have Louison and he gets nothing as well, so no wounds this round. Priority for the next turn goes to the good forces once again. Poor rolling for courage tests on the good side this turn, and the Balrog will set the bar in the combat phase, getting double or triple 6s, winning the fight. He will alternate who gets wounds, needing a 3 up to wound, and he wounds 4 of them. So that means we're starting with an elf who gets killed, and then we have Idro in the front trying to save himself, and he does not, so he is killed as well. Next we have a Numenorean man who also got slain, and Tylero is next. He will need to save, and he does not. But he has 2 fates, so he can try to save again, and he does not, and he has used all of his might, so he is slain. Priority for the next turn goes to the good side once again. Alright, so we are in that point of the game where both forces have been broken, or both the good battle companies. And that means that they have to take courage tests before they can take courage tests. So start with Michael Lear. He gets a 6 and he has a courage of 4, and that is not good enough, but he can use a will point to pass. Next we have Doritor and he fails and flees the battlefield. And next we have Hobbitor in the back over there. He gets an 11 and is good. Next we have Carsonil trying to stand fast, and he gets a 4, and that is not good enough, I believe, because he has only 1 will, and that means that he flees the battlefield. Next we have Louison, and he passes, and that means that all of the other warriors pass as well. But Simonir still needs to test, and he passes with flying colors. Terrible courage test for the good forces this time, and the Balrog is not trapped, and he will set the bar, getting a 6, and that means that they win the fight. Alternating wounds, and he will start with the last lines as they are more models, and getting 2 wounds. And that will kill 1 Numenorean, and Michael Lear is next, and he has to take a fate roll, which he saves. But will he be set ablaze? He will not. This is not looking good for the good forces, but they will not back down from this fight. The evil battle companies have won, so they will have to try to kill the Balrog or die trying. So they will not turn away unless they flee. And priority for the next turn goes to the good forces. Starting with courage checks, Michael Lear gets a pass with a 12. Next we have Hobtor, and he flees the battlefield. Simonir is next, and he will pass. And lastly we have Louison, and he stays on the battlefield as well. Alright, so terrible courage test for the good forces once again. Only the last lions got into combat, the 2 elves, Simonir and Louison, and 1 man of Numenor who went on the other side over here to trap the Balrog. But the Balrog still needs to roll poorly for them to prevail. The Balrog sets the bar and he gets a 3, and that is terrible indeed. Can they do something about this? The Numenorian man gets a 1, and Simonir gets a 3, and Louison gets a 6, which means they win and they have trapped the Balrog. Starting with the Numenorian man, he gets nothing. Louison is next and he gets a 5. He will spend a might point to turn that into a 6, causing a wound. I meant, of course, that he could try to get a 5 to cause a wound, and he does not, but he has 1 might point left and will use that to cause a wound on the Balrog. And lastly, we have Simonir, and he gets a 6. Can he get a 5? No. Alright, priority for the next turn goes to the Balrog this time. Charging into Louison and lashing out on his way forward, he scores a hit, and now he will need 3s to wound, and he scores 1 wound. Louison has Fate and he saves. So I guess he does not have to test for Set Ablaze, because this is not a strike, it is a thrown weapon. So I rule that is not, you do not have to test for Set Ablaze. Let's get into Courage test for the good side to get into combat. First I have to test Courage to see if they stay on the battlefield, and starting with Michaelir, he gets a 9 and is good, and that means that all of his forces are good as well. Louison is already in combat and Simonir will have to test, and he is good. Alright, so Simonir and the Man of Numenor did not pass their Courage test and could not charge the Balrog, which means the Balrog is not trapped this turn. Okay, let's see what the Balrog gets in the fight phase. And he gets a 6, and that means that he has won the fight. Going for some more kills, he gets 4 wounds. Michaelir is first, and he has used his fate, so he is just slain, and another Gondorian is slain as well. And then we have Louison, and Louison has no fate but 2 wounds, and he is killed. Alright, I said that I was going to fight to the bitter end, and I will. Let's take priority for the next turn. It goes to the good forces. Simonir will take a Courage test, and he fails, but he can use 1 will point, which means that he succeeds and his warriors can stay on the battlefield. But this veteran over here does not have a leader, and he is good as well. Alright, so only the veteran was brave enough to charge into the Balrog, and the Balrog will call a heroic fight now, because he can kill this one, and he gets a 5, and the Spearman gets a 5 as well, but loses on fight value. On a 3-up, he is killed, and he is utterly destroyed, which means that the Balrog can charge into a new enemy and chooses this Numenorian over here. And we get another fight. The Balrog gets a 5, and the Numenorian gets a 4, which means that he loses the fight. Actually, he could be shielding here, and he will do that, and he wins. Alright, priority once again goes to the Balrog. Charging into Simonir, lashing out on his way in, he will hit, and he will need a 3 to wound, which he does. Simonir has Fate still, and he saves. Alright, so Courage tests for these 2 warriors to stay on the battlefield. Starting with the right one, he is good, and the left one is not, so he will flee the battlefield. The Numenorian got to go into combat, but I fear this is his last move. The Balrog gets a 4, which means that they can win the fight. The Numenorian gets a 4, and Simonir gets a 4 as well, which means they lose. The Balrog will prioritize the Numenorian man, needing a 3-up, and he kills him. And Simonir has only 2 wounds, so he is slain as well. And that means that the Balrog is victorious, and the good battle companies has lost this battle. And that means that the evil battle companies have won and the good battle companies have lost. Now, let's get into the post-battle. Alright, so after the 10th battle in this series, these are the scores. The last alliance have 13 points, Osgiliath has 15, Karna has 19 points, and Cirith Ungol has 18. So Karna is in the lead on in second place. We have Cirith Ungol, then we have Osgiliath, and lastly the last alliance. Alright, so let's get into the post-battle, starting with injury rolls. Alright, so we'll start with the last alliance, and Simonir is first. He gets 6, and that is a full recovery. Next we have Louison, and he gets an 11, and that is protected by the Valor, I think. No, that is actually the wounds of a hero, which means he gets a full recovery and gets D6 extra influence points, and gets 3 additional influence points. Moving on to the warrior, starting in the front to the right, that is a full recovery. The next one gets a full recovery as well. Next one gets a 5, which means he has to miss the next battle. And we have a one with spear and shield, gets a full recovery. And the next one with a shield is killed, unfortunately. And we have one with a bow, he has to miss the next game. And we have a warrior with a hand-and-a-half weapon, he gets a full recovery. Another elf with a hand-and-a-half weapon, full recovery. And the last one with spear and shield gets an 8 full recovery. Moving over to Osgiliath and Malarsian first, he gets an 8, and that is a full recovery. Then we have Virlin, who is next. He gets a 12, and that is protected by the Valar, so he gains an additional fate point in addition to a full recovery. Next we have Idro, and he gets a 5, and that is a leg wound. Michaelir is next, and he gets a 6, which is a full recovery. And now we have Dimantir. Dimantir gets a 10, and that is an old battle wound. Lastly, we have Tylero, and he gets an 11, and that is the wounds of a hero. Gets additional influence points, 3 additional influence points, and a full recovery. Moving on to the warrior, starting with the veteran in front, he gets a 7, and that is a full recovery. Next we have this ranger, and he gets a 10, full recovery. And we have a regular warrior who gets a 3, he is killed, unfortunately. And we have a... whoa! Dropped the dice there, and we have the last veteran, he gets a 5, which means he has to miss the next battle. Moving over to Karna, starting with the heroes. Sturtlim is first, he gets a 7, and that is a full recovery. Next we have Murad. Murad in front, and he gets an 8, full recovery as well. And then we have Jeremiah. Jeremiah gets a 7, and that is a full recovery. Last of the heroes is Jacobim, and he gets an 8, and that is a full recovery. On to the warriors, starting in the front, starting with a... whoa, he is killed, unfortunately. The next one gets a full recovery. And we have a watcher over here, he gets an 8, full recovery. The next watcher gets a 2 and is killed. And we have an archer over here, he gets an 8, and that is a full recovery. Lastly, we have Cirith Ungol, and we will start with Jonner on the right-hand side. He gets an 11, and that is a wounds of a hero. He gets a full recovery and D6 influence points. Oh, getting 6 additional influence points. Next, we have Murphus, and Murphus gets a 7. That is a full recovery. And lastly, we have Kerishla. Kerishla gets a 10, and that is an old battle wound. Moving on to the warrior, starting in the front, he gets a full recovery, and the next one to the right gets a full recovery as well. The archer gets a 3 and is killed, unfortunately. And we have Urukai, who gets a 6, which is a full recovery. Next we have the spiders, and that is a full recovery, and the last spider gets a full recovery as well. Going into promotions, starting with this man over here, he can become a hero on a 6, and he does! Simonir also got enough experience and will continue on the path of the ranger. He gets a 9, and that is defense. Does he have that already? Yes, he does. So he has to roll again, getting a 10 this time, and that is might or will. So he will get 1 more might point. As for reinforcements for the last lines, they have 5 influence points, and they get a 6, and that is a high elf warrior with choice of weapons. So we will give them one with a... I don't know, what should we give them? A bow, perhaps? Yes, we will give them a bow. Alright, advancements for Osgiliath, starting with Doritor. He is on the path of the warrior and he gets a 10, and that is might or will, so we will give him 1 might point. Next we have Malarsian on the path of the ranger and he gets a 4, and that is expert shot. He already has that one. So we'll try again. He gets a 6, and that is steady aim, which he already has. 10 might or will. We will give him 1 more might point. Michael here is next on the path of the general and he gets a 6, and that is fight. So he will get a fight value of 4. As for reinforcements, they have 7 influence points and they get a 5, which means we will, or they get a 6 because of a +1, so they can roll on the special chart. And doing that, getting a 3, which is a veteran, but giving +1 and using an additional influence point, we get another Knight of Minas Tirith. Alright, so 1 warrior and 1 hero got enough experience to try to level up. Let's start with this warrior over here and see what he gets. He gets a 3, so that is nothing. Next we have Chiuhin, who is a hero and he can choose a path. Choosing the path of the warrior, he gets a 10. And that is might or will, so we will give him 1 might point. Reinforcements for Karna, they have 4 influence points and they get a 5, which is turned to a 6, and that means they can roll on the special chart. And they get a 3, which is a watcher of Karna. A lot of advancements for Cirith Ungol, starting with this giant spider, and he gets a 2, and that is nothing. Next we have an Urukai with 2-handed weapon. He becomes a hero. And we have another Urukai with 2-handed weapon, and it's not a 6. Next we have the spearman who killed the Balrog. He is not promoted, unfortunately. And we have a warrior with shield who is not promoted either. And then we move over to the heroes. Starting with Krishna on the path of the general, he gets a 7, and that is courage. So +1 courage, so he has now a courage of 4. Next we have Joshok, and he is on the path of the warrior, getting an 11, and that is heroic strike. The hero can now use heroic strike action in addition to any others they have access to, so that is nice. As for reinforcements for Cirith Ungol, they can only get 1 other warrior because they lost 1 and they were 15, now down to 14. And they get a 2, which is turned to a 3, and that is a mortar orc with choice of weaponry. So I guess we will get another one with shield. Alright, that is it for now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the series. There are only 2 battles left in the series. And if you want to support me with buying me a cup of coffee, you can do that in the link down below. The money that I get from that will go directly into the hobby. Alright, thank you so much. See you next week. Bye.